All right, if you're studying public policy, public health, anything like that, and you're looking for that secret weapon to really make your essay stand out, you are in exactly the right place. We're about to break down a framework that's honestly going to change the way you see how policies get made. So, you've probably heard that famous quote from Victor Hugo, right? The one about an idea whose time has come. But what does that actually mean? How does an idea's time arrive? Is it just some kind of magic? Does it just happen? Or is there a process behind it all, something we can actually analyze, and more importantly, explain in an exam? That's the big question we're going to tackle. Let's dive right in. Look, a huge mistake a lot of people make is seeing policymaking as this super neat, tidy, linear process, like a factory assembly line. A problem goes in one end, and a perfect solution comes out the other. Well, that's a total myth. It completely ignores how messy reality is. The truth, according to political scientist John Kingdon, is a lot more like organized anarchy. It's a chaotic, swirling, fascinating world. So, to make sense of this organized anarchy, we need a better map, a more sophisticated way of thinking. And that is exactly where Kingdon's model comes in. Here's the core idea, and this is so important. Kingdon wants you to picture three totally separate rivers, or streams, all flowing along on their own. You've got the problem stream, the policy stream, and the politics stream. And the key thing to remember is that they're independent. They each have their own logic, their own players, and their own currents. Okay, so let's get into what these three streams actually are. Understanding each one on its own is the only way to see how powerful they are when they come together.
So think about it. Why does something like, say, rising childhood obesity suddenly become a massive government priority, while other huge health issues just kind of simmer on the back burner for decades? That's the question the problem stream answers. It's all about how a condition in the world, like the fact that obesity exists, gets turned into a problem that demands action. A condition is just a fact of life. A problem is when we decide that fact is unacceptable and we have to fix it.
So, one way a problem gets on the radar is through what we call indicators. This is just the steady drumbeat of data. For a public health example, this could be the annual reports showing obesity rates climbing year after year after year. When those numbers just keep going in the wrong direction, it gets harder and harder for policymakers to just ignore them. But sometimes it's not a slow burn. It's a sudden explosion, a focusing event. Think of a shocking documentary that goes viral about the health effects of sugary drinks. Or maybe a big study comes out that links obesity to national security. Something that just grabs everyone by the collar and forces an issue onto the agenda that nobody was really talking about the day before. And this quote from one of the people Kingdon interviewed just says it all, doesn't it? It perfectly captures how reactive things can be. It often takes a big, painful crisis getting hit on the side of the head to actually force people to act. Okay, so we've got our problems bubbling up and getting attention. But where do the actual solutions come from? Well, that leads us right into our second stream, the world of policies. Kingdon has this fantastic metaphor for this stream. He calls it the policy primeval soup. Just picture this big, bubbling pot of ideas. In this soup, you've got academics, experts, think tanks, specialists. All of them are constantly cooking up and refining proposals. Things like a new tax on sugary drinks, or a ban on junk food ads for kids, or new school lunch rules. And here's the kicker. These solutions are often fully baked and ready to go long before the problem itself becomes a hot topic. They're just waiting. Now, an idea doesn't just survive in this soup by luck. It has to pass some pretty tough tests. Is a soda tax actually workable? Like, can we technically do it? Does it fit with our society's values about personal choice? And the big one, of course, can we afford it? Will people put up with it? Only the ideas that can tick these boxes have a real shot at floating to the top. All right, on to the third stream. And this one is often the most powerful of all, the politics stream. And you have to remember, this stream is totally separate. It doesn't really care about data trends or how elegant a policy proposal is. It runs on its own fuel. So, what is this fuel? Well, it's things like the national mood. Is the country generally leaning towards more government intervention in health or less? It's about organized interests. How powerful are the lobbyists for the food industry versus the public health advocates? And maybe the most important factor of all, elections. A new president, a new party in charge, that can change the entire political landscape overnight. So let's recap. We've got three streams, right? Problems demanding attention, policies just waiting in their soup, and politics churning along. And most of the time, they just flow right past each other, never touching. But every now and then, something incredible happens. And that's when a policy window opens. This is the big moment. It's this brief, totally unpredictable chance for change. It's a short period where all the stars align and you can actually push a major policy through. But you gotta be quick, because these windows, they slam shut just as fast as they open. This is that magic moment, what Kingdon calls coupling. A policy window opens when all three streams suddenly converge at the same point in time. The problem of childhood obesity is suddenly front-page news. A well-researched soda tax proposal is sitting there ready to go, and a new administration comes in that's eager to make a name for itself on public health. When that happens, bam, the streams are coupled, and you have a real chance to make history.
But here's the thing. This doesn't just happen by accident. It needs a person, a catalyst, and Kingdon calls them policy entrepreneurs. These are the dedicated champions, could be a politician, a civil servant, an activist, who are obsessed with a particular solution. They invest their time, their energy, their reputation, sometimes for years, just waiting patiently for that window to crack open so they can attach their solution to a problem and shove it through. I absolutely love this quote. It's the perfect way to think about it. The policy entrepreneur, they're not making the wave. The streams do that. But they have to be out there on the water, on their board, totally prepared. And when that huge wave of opportunity finally comes, they have to be ready to paddle like their life depends on it to ride it all the way to the shore. Okay, this is all fascinating stuff. But let's get practical. How does this help you ace that policy essay? Let's turn this theory into a concrete toolkit you can use. Okay, here's your 4-step plan. Step 1. Take your policy topic and clearly identify the 3 streams. What was the problem stream? Those rising CDC rates. What was the policy stream? The sugar tax proposal. And the politics stream? That new pro-health government. Step 2. Analyze why the policy window opened. Was it that big focusing event? A change in leadership? Step 3. Who were the policy entrepreneurs? Name them. Explain how they connected the problem to their solution. And finally, step 4. Use all of that to build a killer argument, explaining not just what happened, but why it happened right then and not 5 years earlier. The best part about this model is that it's not just about history. It helps you understand what's happening right now. So next time you're scrolling through the news, don't just see the stories. Look for the streams. Look for the entrepreneurs waiting by the shore. And ask yourself, what big policy window might be opening right now, and who's out there ready to paddle?